Namaste. I'm Alakanandama, Ayurvedic doctor and principal of Alandi Ayurveda Gurukula, an Ayurveda school in Boulder, Colorado. A school where there are very few students and you get to spend personal time with your teacher and have your clinical work closely mentored in person. So we're going to talk today on the topic, is the pandemic really over? I'm sorry, I'm just going to pour out my heart today. Almost every day I read, hear, or see someone talking about how the pandemic is over and normal life is resuming. And almost every day I learn of entire families falling sick with COVID, appointments being cancelled because of sickness, or people not being well enough after COVID to resume anything resembling their normal lives. I hear that masks are no longer required at the hospitals and wonder if that applies to pediatric oncology. Are we really going to breathe COVID all over children who basically have no functioning immune systems? The cognitive dissonance can be overwhelming at times. Well, okay, all the time. The other day, someone brightly said on the radio that we were in a pandemic and now we're in an endemic instead. I have news for her. Endemic is an adjective, not a noun. An endemic disease is one that occurs at a stable rate in the susceptible population. We're most likely not there with COVID, which is still going in waves with rapid generation of variants, although we certainly do have a very high baseline of infection. But if COVID really does become endemic, that would not be cause for celebration. Rather, it would be a major public health failure. Endemic diseases are the scourge of humanity. Malaria is endemic in many regions, but that doesn't mean that people will be throwing away their mosquito nets anytime soon. Polio, an endemic disease, has left the world with 10 to 20 million disabled survivors. Smallpox was endemic until we eradicated it through vaccination. And in thousands of years, it never became any milder. TB is endemic and killed 1.5 million people in 2020 alone. If we are stuck with lifetimes of endemic COVID, causing mass disability and death and falling life expectancy rates, we will have wiped out generations of public health work in trying to overcome infectious diseases. We tackled cholera with clean drinking water, and we need to tackle COVID with clean indoor air. But most of all, we need to let this horrible disease teach us a little bit about compassion. Let's have the compassion to meet outside in small groups. Let's have the compassion to wear a mask. Maybe you're willing to play 1 in 10 Russian roulette with long COVID, but what about that child with cancer, that neighbor with diabetes, that friend with ME or chronic fatigue, that immunosuppressed colleague? What about all the people with long COVID who want more than anything else not to get COVID again? Are we so eager to get our lives back that we're willing to rob others of theirs? I turned 70 during the pandemic, joining the cohort of the elderly and facing the challenge of ageism. So it hasn't exactly been fun hearing about how only old people are going to die of COVID, which is not true, by the way. And that doesn't matter because they're going to die anyway and are a burden and not productive. In fact, all of us want to live long, which means all of us want a chance to grow old. What's all this got to do with Ayurveda? Hita hitam sukham dukkam mayustasya hita hitam manancha tacha yatroktamayurveda. So Uchate Ayurveda is that which deals with good and bad, happy and unhappy life, its promoters and non-promoters, measure and nature. That's from Charak. So in times of COVID, Ayurveda teaches us to wear a mask to promote healthy and happy life for ourselves and others. Please join us at Alandi's COVID-safe clinic to see compassion in action. Namaste. See you next week.